In the spring of 1952, a Norwegian immigrant named Lars Halvorsen walked into a small dealership in rural Minnesota and made the very first major American purchase of his entirely new life. A bright barn-red farm pickup truck, paid for mostly in cash he'd carefully saved crossing the Atlantic just 2 years earlier. 70-some years later, that exact same truck sat quietly broken beside his barn for over 2 full decades, until his granddaughter finally decided that simply wasn't going to be how its story ended. Lars bought that truck brand new, and for a full 25 years afterward, it hauled essentially everything his modest wheat farm ever produced. Grain to the local silo every single harvest. His own children to a one-room schoolhouse 3 miles away, whenever the school bus failed to show up in heavy Minnesota snow. Hay bales stacked 3 high in the punishing summer heat, over and over, one season after another. Lars himself, by every account from those who worked alongside him, treated the truck with a kind of quiet, practical respect rather than any real sentimentality. He changed its oil religiously, patched its rust spots himself with sheet metal from a scrap tractor, and never once, in 25 years of daily use, let it sit idle for more than a day or two at a time if there was any way around it. It wasn't glamorous work by any measure. It was simply constant, endlessly reliable, and completely essential to a young immigrant family quietly building an entire life from almost nothing at all, in a country that wasn't yet fully theirs. When Lars' son took over full operation of the farm sometime in the early 1970s, that same truck came along with the property and went on to teach an entire second generation of Halvorsen children how to drive on precisely the same dirt farm roads Lars himself had first learned on decades earlier. It simply kept working, season after season, and nobody on that farm ever seriously considered replacing it, mostly because nobody could quite picture the place functioning properly without it anymore. Then, in 1998, a connecting rod inside the engine finally gave out for good. A repair that, on a truck that old, was simply too expensive to reasonably justify, and yet somehow too deeply sentimental for anyone in the family to seriously consider scrapping instead. So it sat, parked quietly beside the old barn, its tires slowly sinking deeper into the grass with each passing season, for 22 consecutive years. Through brutal Minnesota blizzards, through long summer droughts, through an entire working farm that somehow kept running perfectly well without it, year after year. In the spring of 2020, Lars' granddaughter Erica, an engineer by trade, living a fairly separate professional life in the city, came home for what was originally supposed to be a short pandemic visit with her father. She found the old truck sitting exactly where it had always been, tires half sunk into 22 years of grass, and made a decision that genuinely surprised everyone in the family. She was going to fix it herself, using the truck's completely original engine wherever humanly possible, dents, faded paint, and all. It took the better part of one entire winter. Her father worked alongside her most evenings, the two of them standing under a single shop light in that old barn, long after the rest of the farm had already gone quiet for the night. On a genuinely cold night that following February, Erica finally turned the key on an engine that hadn't run in 22 full years. It caught on the second try and settled almost immediately into the same steady, familiar rumble that 3 separate generations of Halvorsens had grown up hearing across that farm. That following autumn, the truck hauled pumpkins to the local farmer's market for the very first time in over 2 decades. Not because the farm particularly needed it to anymore, but simply because certain machines, in Erica's own words, genuinely deserve the chance to keep working for as long as somebody's willing to keep them running. Rust and Legacy tells the human stories hiding behind forgotten machines. If an old truck, an old car, or an old engine has ever made you wonder about the life it lived before you found it, subscribe, because there's always another story waiting. New episodes every single week.